Hi, I'm Rebecca Ryan King, and I love sharing really simple therapy ideas to use when you're working on speech sound disorders. And today I've decided to go through one of my favorite boxes. This here is full of lots of little mini manipulatives. I've got little beads, pom-poms, erasers. I'm going to show it all to you, and I'm going to explain how I use it in articulation therapy in particular, just to get high practice trials in. And I'm going to be featuring these articulation squares here, just because it's one of our newest updates, and each little square has 12 little mini pictures on there. So we talk about it as an alternative to articulation cards. If your kids get a little bit bored of articulation cards, we're going to show you how we get high practices in using simple everyday things you've probably got lying around at home, or you'll see at the shops for $2 in one of those dollar stores, and how you can use it with these. So one of the first things I like to collect are these little mini clothespins, and what this allows the child to do is they say their target sound or their word, and then they get to put one of the clothespins on, and we go all the way around the squares. And then usually I might do another little activity, and then we come back and then the child says the target word again as they take the little pins off. So that's really fun. If you have stamps, I'm going to show you here. I've got a little stamp set with ink pad. We will just pick them up, all of these, and we'll put them on top. We'll cover up each square. So again, we're saying our words. You might want to put it in a phrase or a sentence. And then once the whole square is covered, we go back and we say it again, but then the child can take off the stamp and they can stamp it in the ink pad, and then they can stamp it on a piece of paper, and that's their little reinforcement. So it's kind of like they know that they're going to get to stamp soon, but we've got to do some of our practice first. Another set I have is pom-poms. I've got a little tray of pom-poms here, and I love combining little things like pom-poms or beads with tweezers. A lot of kids really enjoy using these, so they can use the tweezers and they can pick up their pom-pom and they put them on again. And it's just one of those little activities. It might go for 5 minutes, but it is entertaining for the child. They get their practice in, they're doing something. And because there's 12 little pictures, to a page here, the child is just really motivated just to cover up every single square. And I like that there are 12 squares to each of these, because I just know how many practices we can get in. So if we do all of them, I know that that's 48 practices. So it's a really, really nice little way to get high trials in, and use that motivation to fill an entire page. Another tip is to place your cards in these dry erase pockets. I'll take one out and show you. This is what we did in therapy today, and I just gave the child a whiteboard marker, and all they did is they just crossed off all of the words as they said them. It's so easy, but that's 48 practices that we got in one little activity, keeping a child engaged and practicing at the same time. Lego is another great little activity to do with these little squares like this. Again, it's the same concept. We are saying our word, practicing our word, we're covering up each square. And then when we go back and when we do more practice, the child can pick up the Lego and then they can build something with the Lego bricks. So they can simply just stack it and see how tall it can get. Now, your activities don't have to be terribly exciting. I'm going to show you something here. I've got these little mini, I think they went on the back of a pencil or something like that. I have these. Putting these in a bag and the child doesn't know what they're reaching for, that surprise element is really fun for kids, especially preschool age children. So I would have the bag in here, and I would tell the child, I want you to reach in the bag and see what you pull out. And so as they, they might practice a whole row of words, they put their hand in and they can feel around, and then they can see what they pull out, and then they put it on. I also recommend going through your cupboard and looking at what game pieces you have. So here I have a little Connect 4 game, and I've got all these mini pieces. And so it's really, really easy to cover up the whole board with our little pieces here. And then we're going to play it when we put the word in a sentence or something like that. And then you can put them in. I don't think this is a very new idea, but I want to remind you that using magnetic counters is a really, really fun way. Kids love picking everything up, and usually we do all of the squares and then they get to pick all of them up in one go. I also want to show you something that's really, really easy and really novel. I have a lot of these little finger puppets, and just getting the child just to tap and say the word, it is enough to get some practices in. Even if you're only getting 12 squares in, and 12, which is 12 practices, that is enough, and this might take you, 1 minute or something like that. The last thing I'll suggest, especially if you've got black and white versions of these, like if you just want to print them out in black and white, using dabbers is highly motivating for a lot of kids. Also stamping as well. I'll just get stamps out and the child can stamp a lot of these, and they find that really fun, and they're also really good to send for home practice. So what I do is I'll link a blog post below, and then that way you can read it and you can just see and get way more ideas on what you can use with these little articulation squares, and you can start your own little collection of little mini toys, manipulatives, and craft stuff that you can use to get high practice trials in. Again, we've chosen to use these articulation squares, but if you've got anything with mini pictures, I think it works really well, and it's just a break from those articulation cards that our kids are seeing all the time, and they can just get a bit, over it, a bit bored with it. So I hope you've got some new fresh ideas. Check out the blog post. Please like and subscribe if you found this helpful, if you've got some new ideas or organisation tips on how to work with children with speech sound disorders. And I'm excited to come back next week and share some more tips from our speech therapy room.